So apparently one of the PR guys from Microsoft said that they were going to destroy, his exact word was destroy PS4 at E3. I'm just wondering, like, is that possible?
Let's clarify the word what destroy means. Like, what does that mean?
Well, the way I see it is there was two guys with two strategies. Microsoft had to pick between these two PR guys. And the one PR guy said, we're going to destroy PS4. And the other guy said, we're going to do okay. And that guy got fired. So.
Well, I think the only reason they can kind of claim that, I've heard that EA and Sony are the only ones are getting televised by Spike. And Spike really doesn't reach the audience of gamers, but it does reach a more casual, more open market, right? It looks like what the mass populace would be watching. So from that perspective, it's like, oh, Sony wasn't even at E3. Someone might consider, because if you don't see them televised, you're like, well, they probably weren't there.
So Donald, what do you think about that as someone who's like more integrated into everything Spike is trying to appeal to, like comics and movies and stuff?
The Xbox One looks good from like a casual perspective, but the fact that they're just cutting off they've cancelled their post press conference, they're not giving information. It sounds really good. I'm just wondering what the catch is, because there is going to be a hell of a catch somewhere along the line. From a casual perspective, like I said, it looks good. I can totally see why someone who doesn't know much about games would want to buy one, but
as it stands, you're not going to buy one.
I wouldn't. No.
Christoph, are you gonna buy one? Like, if you had to, like, from what you know, so far,
By what?
Xbox One.
No.
Just straight up no. It's like
Okay, hang on. Are any of us going to buy Xbox One? Aside from, like, I have to own every video game system.
Yeah, that's the same thing for me. It's like,
It's a disease, but
You should see a doctor about that.
yeah, shit.
I'll go PS4 before I even go Xbox.
if I had to choose, I would go PS4 though.
I think all of us are like in that camp. PS4 is like for us. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
Xbox One is for.
And here's another thing though. What do you guys think of the controllers? Like, what's your favorite controller?
PS4 is coming up.
You haven't touched it. So I'm saying from the controller, you haven't touched it yet.
I have
So
looked at it.
From the controllers you've touched and felt, not in any weird way. What do you like?
Do you know what? Xbox, actually.
Yeah. People say the 360 controller is the best controller ever.
No.
that's
Nintendo
whack.
64.
The best controllers
You like the Nintendo 64
Nintendo
controller? I
64
hate
will
that
never
controller.
ever be topped.
I hate that controller. I don't know where to hold it. It's like, this is the stick. I'm used to doing this.
because you can hold it in so many different ways.
Yeah.
That's what makes it best.
Yeah.
It's just comfortable.
No, but anyone who says this
no
controller is the best is just wrong. It's like each individual person. That's for you to decide what you like most. Personally, my favorite controller is the DualShock. I mean, like, it's my favorite. I think that okay, it's got sticks. The sticks work awesome. No, they're not positioned best for shooters, but that opens you up to a wider range of games. They work well with platformers. It's got a wicked D-pad. You can play fighting games on it without having to go and buy an expensive stick. I like the buttons. They're really responsive. I mean, but I like every controller.
Yeah, but Nintendo 64 already has all of that.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine during the Nintendo Direct thing? They're just like, we're bringing back the N64 controller from retro.
Yeah, just bring it back. I don't see why it wouldn't work. I mean, it's got the trigger for first-person
It's got one
shooters.
stick, though.
Yeah, which
So
is going to be a
what?
problem.
You need to roll the camera, man.
If you got the LNR triggers for that, you can.
I think it was when I was playing Siphon Filter when they first introduced the idea of like one moves the camera and the other one moves the gun or like whatever, and it was so disorienting. I'm like, this is never gonna catch on, and now it's catch on. Like, you need both sticks to play so many games. Like, I never thought it would catch on, and it's totally.
Oh my god, a dual stick setup is every game, every modern game. So there's some move functionality in, like, with the exception of the Nintendo tablet because they already have Wiimotes, in the new controllers. So Xbox One, the camera is so sophisticated, it can pick up your controller. So you can move your controller around and stuff, and it'll know that you're holding the controller and moving it around. And PS4, it's got that little move type IR sensor for your camera to pick up so you can move that around.
Changes colors too. Don't
Yeah,
forget that.
so-
Very important.
Super important. So what do you guys think about that? Christoph, do you care about move functionality in your controller?
I think I'll enjoy that very much. I think it'll be part of. It's hard for me to stand still when I play a game. I move, I talk, I swear.
Are you a Twitcher? Do you go like this? Do you
Oh
like jump with the
yeah,
controller?
totally.
But now that's going to interrupt your game. You're going to twitch involuntarily.
And your guy's gonna fly.
Yeah, your guy's going to fly off and you're dead. Like,
But you could actually use that like for a lot of fun stuff, like something like Trials Evolution, where you can actually like throw your guy and fling him around with the controller. That'd be kind of fun.
But like, what am I gonna be playing Assassin's Creed and I like reach for a potato chip and all of a sudden like I assassinate someone? He's like standing beside me. He's like, oh no, she's I cut her throat. I didn't mean to do that.
The thing that they did with what was it, Skyrim with the Kinect. There's a lot of funny stuff because it recognizes anyone's voice, so you can literally be like, magic fireball save, and someone can say that while you're standing there talking to someone and just screw up.
Just walk up and go, who's? And then like dragon shout and kill like 20 people.
Exactly, and you're like in the middle of a town, and so now you got a bounty on your head.
Oh, that's great.
So it's funny how you can play with that kind of stuff.
So Xbox One, the new controller apparently has these like HD functionality where it's gonna have like crazy motors in it for force feedback and resistive triggers. So the trigger will actually have different pressures and stuff.
Which is going to be amazing. That sounds so good.
Like from the couple of people that have tried it, they like go on, oh, it's the coolest thing ever. Is that really going to add to your experience? Do you guys like that?
It adds a level of immersion. Yeah.
Tom, what do you think?
It would depend on the game. For some games, obviously, that will be... It wouldn't sell me on the game, but it would be a nice addition. But there's other games where it would just be...
There's like 20 psychos in Texas who are like, I need my get to feel like my controller perfectly. You know, like, I can't play Call of Duty unless it feels like I'm pulling the real trigger.
Well, would you remember when the first Rumble feature was introduced? And like, I think I want to say it was the DualShock that started the Rumble.
Wasn't it in 64 with Rumble?
Was it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right. What did you think about that? Like when I first felt that, I thought it was stupid.
All right, internet, put it in the comments.
Yeah,
Which one was
exactly.
first?
What did you think? What did you like the best? But I personally, when I first felt it, thought it was stupid. Now it's like a regular thing. It's part of my.
I
experience.
love force feedback.
Yeah.
Ever since I think the first game, oh man, I remember playing with force feedback where it was Devil May Cry, the first one.
Oh, good game. Good game. Amazing.
And like
game.
the metal music would pick up and you'd feel the force
you
feedback.
feel it, yeah.
So like I don't know, it definitely matters. Do you think it's something that people are going to be like, oh, I'm going to pick Xbox One because the controller is so cool?
No.
PS4?
It's not a selling point. It's a value add. It's a definite value add. Well, what's the when with Kinect? I think that's the biggest flaw of Kinect. There is no force feedback. How like no matter how good they make it, there's two things that it's always going to be. It's going to be on rails, so you can't walk your character somewhere. It will be your character is moving in this direction.
Until they come up with Xbox treadmill. And
Yeah, or like an Xbox pad that you walk around in, which the technology exists. I've seen it. I saw it years ago at like the CNE, so I know that stuff exists.
But you're right. There's no tactile function.
Yeah, and plus when you hit something, like imagine you have a sword or something and you're in front of a wall. If I hit that wall, there's no wall in front of me, so my hand's gonna go like this, but my sword is supposed to hit the wall and bounce back. So at what point does the camera go, no, I'm not gonna listen to your hand, I'm gonna do something on screen, and then that drops you out of the immersion. So that's the worst part of the Kinect. That's what I feel like they need to figure that out somehow. Like give me a full bodysuit that forces my
Did you
hand
guys
back.
play Skyward Sword?
Yeah, I did. I really liked the motion controls for that, although, again, you actually have something physical there as opposed to Kinect where you don't.
But that's something that's important to you, having that physical thing there.
Not necessarily. I mean, I've played a lot of Legend of Zelda games, and this was the first game that really had motion controls. I mean,
Well, I'm just talking
Twilight
for-
Princess did, but it wasn't quite. But I mean, it's not a key point to the game. Again, it was integrated very, very well into the.
Not so
game.
much for Zelda, but for motion control games in general. Like if you're playing a game that involves some sort of like physical combat, it's nice to have something physically
definitely.
in your hand.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
That's what I mean.
Especially since in Skyward Sword you had the sword in one hand and the shield in the other, so you could actually you could tape your fighting style and every fight will be completely unique. Whereas if it's controller, you can only move so much, and everything's assigned to different keys.
I'm gonna ask a question to all of you. Might be super nerdy, might be kind of stupid, but think about this. Like if they came out with the actual like you're talking about, but like an actual thing that picks it up. I'm not talking about a stupid wave move wand thing or like a Wii wand thing. I'm talking about an actual like object. Like if they gave you like a sword that dubs as all the swords, or if they gave you like a shield that you put on and you
They
feel the
have
force
those.
feedback.
There's for Wii. There's like.
No, I'm talking about Kinect. Let's move away from like the Wii. I'm talking about if Kinect came out with that stuff. I know it's supposed to be like, oh, there's no controller, but if they give you that kind of controller where you like, if you block, you feel the block on your shield, you feel the rumble, you feel the hit. Would you be into that?
Yes,
Yeah?
I think it'll be an experience. And then the more we move forward, I think the more of that we're going to get. People are going to really want to be part of the game, almost in the game, and feel their body. I mean, we've seen this in SF science fiction movies where you are now transported into a movie.
But how would they do that with like a Nintendo Power Glove?
I don't know how, like, I
So
mean,
bad.
but you can see where they're kind of headed with that. Like, they did this thing at CES where they showed off, like, Illuminaroom or whatever, where your room becomes like your TV screen. using
Okay,
a
hang on for a
projector.
second. Does anyone give a shit about Illuminaroom?
No.
No. Does anyone care about that? No, it's a stupid idea. Like Microsoft, like stop putting your R&D into like light shows in your living room. Nobody gives a shit about that. Just make just make the technology for the actual games better. But what I think is going to be the next tech jump for like this immersive games thing is Oculus Rift. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
So the goggles that you put on, companies are marketing them now for just pretty much developers to screw around with. But I've seen some, and anyone can go to this, just go look up people
Oculus
playing with
Rift
Oculus Rift or for Skyrim or for Team Fortress, and
Yeah.
they're showing you stuff. So it's a set of goggles that you wear, and it tracks your head and your eyeball movement. And I've seen it used in application for like Team Fortress 2, and the character is walking in one direction, and they turn their head, and they're looking, and you're seeing in another direction while you're walking in one direction. So adding head movement into a video game, especially for something like a first-person shooter, which is obviously the most important genre, because that's what people care most. Like it's, you know, like that's what's...
That's a selling point.
Yeah, right? So, I mean, I think that's what's coming next.
Okay, so I guess let's wrap up. Before we do, I just want to point out that you guys check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Make sure to follow and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
All right, this was the My ETV Media podcast. Feel free to leave a comment. And we're not pure Xbox haters here or lovers, so we will be having more of these in the future. So stay tuned.